The great ones, they're different. They really are. Not better, just different. Sure, there's a physical power, a mental strength, a complex but resolute constitution too. There's a whole lot more than just the measurables. That's something else, that intangible. It separates us from them. Welcome to the Legends series on Andy Raymond Unfiltered. There's superstars and there's blokes that the superstars need. This bloke, he's one of them. Tough, reliable, resilient, on and off the field too. But who is Ethan Lowe?
Ethan Lowe, he's a pretty casual bloke, enjoys a beer, enjoys a laugh. That's probably the best way to describe me, I guess. Don't take anything too seriously. Just go with the flow a little bit.
The National Census of 2016, Goondiwindi was recorded as having a population of 6,355. We regard you as their finest, but Goondiwindi, mate, is right on the New South Wales-Queensland border. Which state is the Goondiwindi Hospital in? Just for the record.
It's Queensland, but it's just Queensland. So, literally, hospitals there, and, the river's the border, and it's, on the river. So, it's, literally... 15 metres away.
You're almost a blue.
Almost, but I'm on the good side of the river, so that's the main thing.
What about the family home? How close was that to the border?
Pretty similar, actually. So, so my house, then we had the street, and then the neighbours, and then the river. So that was, so literally probably a block off being New South Wales.
Where'd your footy begin? What do you remember of the early days?
The mighty Gundy Boars. Rocking up when I was about 5 years old. I don't think they had an under sixes team, so I was playing and training with under sevens and stuff like that just because I wanted to play footy. So out there was where it all began.
Wonderful rugby league territory, country Queensland, because Goondiwindi, is country Queensland. But there is a wonderful affiliation between country towns and rugby league, especially, I guess, in the era that you were growing up. It is... The rugby league club and the rugby league team are the heartbeat of the city. Yeah,
exactly. When I was little, my pop was the president of the local footy side. Yeah. So I was ball boy every Saturday for home games and stuff like that. I was getting a pie and coke to run the sideline, being a ball boy and stuff like that. And it was the thing that everyone did on a Saturday arvo or a Sunday arvo was go out and watch the local side run around and
A fact about Ethan Lowe that often gets overlooked: you actually signed with the Sydney Roosters as a 19-year-old, didn't you?
Yeah. So I the day I finished high school, I was on a flight down to Sydney to start pre-season with their 20 side at the time. So I was about 17, I think. 17. Literally the day I finished school. Was on a flight the very next day and started pre-season down there.
Who spotted you? Do you know?
Yeah, Sully.
Peter O'Sullivan.
Yeah. So he picked me up down there when I was I think it was 16. Yep. Signed the development contract and then head down there straight after school.
You played 3 years at the Roosters, also the Newtown Jets as their feeder club. You'd played junior rep footy for Queensland and was selected for Australia, but you couldn't crack NRL footy in your first trip to Sydney. Did you have doubts?
I guess a little bit when you were. My last year of 20s, I'd made the junior Kangaroos and stuff like that, but I couldn't get a contract with the NRL side. So obviously those doubts creep in. I was lucky enough that the Cows offered me a train and trial for that year, the next year, and I went up there and worked my hardest pre-season. I knew I had to try and probably outwork everyone else because I was on a train and trial. And they sort of said, look, we'd love to have you, but our squad's full. So I went up to Cairns and played Q Cup up there. I think 2 or 3 games into the season, ended up signing a deal for the next year with the Cows.
You got Q Cup Rookie of the Year that year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Pretty fair side to be coming into around that era, the North Queensland Cowboys. There were some genuine superstars of the game in the club.
Yeah, there was. I was lucky enough to play a couple of games with Matty Bowen his final year. I played 2 games that year. Got to play with him, and then there was, I think Paney was just finishing up.
Yep.
There was JT, all those boys. Thumper, Jimmy Tarmel was, Australian front rower at the time and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a very good side.
Jonathan Thurston and Matt Bowen get a lot of the accolades, rightfully so. They're both brilliant. But Matt Scott and James Tarmo, for a young forward coming into the game, 2 wonderful role models, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Just the way, I guess, they worked at training, how intense they took training sometimes. That's a bit of a learning curve for a young bloke. Is they were always 100% at training when they had to be, and I guess you can take lessons out of that. What
do you recall of your first grade debut, mate? It was June 2nd.
Yeah,
year against the
Titans. It was during Origin period. Coming off the bench, and I remember, I think I come on with about 15 to go of the first half, and I played about 5 minutes. I looked at the clock, going, surely it's half time, and there was about 4 minutes gone, and I was gassed. I was like, crap, but we got towed up. I think it was like 30 something to 18 or something like that. I scored a meaty on debut, but so I was pretty happy with that. This is like the last play of the game, pretty much. I think I scored on debut, so I had a few mates that were pretty happy with that one, getting the last try scorer. But
yeah, nice. Do you remember what jersey you played in?
18, I think. Yeah,
you're right. Your history's good.
There we go.
The 2015 grand final is an obvious highlight. The pre-game, I've heard simply walking out onto the field and that wall of noise on grand final day is the memory that stands out for a lot of guys. What do you remember of your first look at the stadium that day?
I think it was the first time I played in front of like a full stadium at ANZ where it was like packed. Yep. And because it was like 2 Queensland teams, that was just like basically half of Queensland was there in the stadium. And just the noise of everything. First thing I did was obviously look for the mum and family and the missus and stuff, and I got a glimpse of them. And
you could spot them out.
Yeah, we sort of knew where they were sitting, so they were sort of sitting right behind our bench. So it was pretty easy when we were doing the anthem and stuff. You're sort of looking that way, so you could see them. So that was probably the bit that struck me the most was being able to have everyone there and have my families there as well. So yeah.
Brisbane kicked an early penalty goal with Corey Parker. On the tackle after the restart, they produced something very, very special.
It's gone away to Milford. It's gone to Reid. They've opened up some space. Oates is sprinting down the left side. He's inside the 20. He's going to go all the way. Corey Oates, 16 days short of 21 years of age. Built like a second rower. And they've gone 90 metres, the Broncos, to score a superb try.
Ethan, you could have been excused for thinking, oh no, they're on today. That was a pretty special try to Corey Oates.
Yeah, it was a good try. Obviously, if we didn't defend it as well, we probably should have. It was a very late offload, and they sort of, with the numbers in the tackle on that, they had the numbers out wide, and Oates is very quick when he gets going. So, yeah, it was obviously not the way we wanted to start the game, but we knew, once we got back into the grind and stuff, we could get back to where we needed to be.
It wasn't long after. Actually, I think it was just a few minutes. In fact, the Cowboys return serve. What do you remember of the Justin O'Neill try?
We'd actually set up that play during the week, talking about running that play where Jakey Granville gets out of dummy half and out of the back of the scrum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'd sort of been talking about it all week, and the boys were actually a little bit paranoid about in case someone was videoing our training and stuff. So we didn't actually run the play, but we talked about what was going on. So we had that sort of play. I think they'd noticed a few things. The coach had noticed a few things from their scrums close to the line and stuff.
Yep.
And we were able to get the play on, and it worked. And yeah, Chuzzy dived over.
There'd be 2 more first half tries, one to James Tarmo, the other to Jack Reid. Brisbane led 14-12 at half time. But as good as the first 40 minutes was, this story, I guess, is about the final minute or minutes. Trailing 16-12, the siren literally about to sound, one of the most magical grand final moments ever.
Tackle 5, this is the last. It's bounced away to Thurston. Comes up Blair, got rid of Blair, pushes away from McCulloch. Thurston gets the ball to Morgan. Morgan crosses the 20, comes away to O'Neill, gets the ball away. And Felt has scored. Felt has scored in the corner. Look at the box. It's a try.
Well, if you don't believe in fairy tales, we might see the giant fairy tale of all time here right now with Thurston, a kick from the sideline to win a premiership for the Cowboys.
You're actually smiling now. What do you remember most clearly of that try?
Just Morgo getting across field and able to suck in the winger and dish it off to Feldy and him slam it down in the corner.
So the scores are level.
Yeah.
Time is up. Jonathan Thurston steps into goal kick from the sideline to win the game. You're a goal kicker, one of note, and you'd also kick goals for North Queensland that year. Where were you when JT was lining up, and do you recall what you were thinking?
Yeah, so we were all basically like standing at halfway, and we were all pretty confident he was going to get it. And as soon as he hit it, we all basically almost started celebrating. We were all like running in, almost celebrating, and then we seen him hit the post. And we knew the job wasn't over.
Yep.
We obviously tell JT was pretty disappointed, so we got around him and sort of we got it's not over, next job, all that sort of chat, and went on with it from there.
Griffin Air Conditioning offers the highest quality of air conditioning sales and service across the Sydney metropolitan area, providing installation and maintenance to commercial, domestic and industrial customers. Working with this team, you'll be guaranteed the latest services, technology and developments in the industry. Visit griffinair.com.au and tell them we sent you for a cool deal. That's probably the most important speech of the season, because you don't want a player, let alone the superstar, thinking he's just cost you.
Yeah, obviously JT's been in those positions a fair bit. He sort of knows, what his thing is. But if we could get around and help him out and stuff like that, which is basically what footy's about, is helping each other out. So, we were pretty confident that his confidence and his belief in himself would get him through what he needed to do. So yeah.
So it was off to Golden Point. An amazing 80 minutes it had been, but it was about to get crazy.
Thurston to choose from with Coote. He hits it, he's got it! He's got the field goal! He's got the premiership! He has gone from a captain to a legend and probably rugby league immortality.
As a professional athlete, did that one moment make all the sacrifices, the broken bones, the torn ligaments, the bruises all worth it to win, and to win like that?
Yeah, definitely. That's the reason why we play footy, really, is for those sort of those chances and to be part of that sort of stuff. And I guess the way it happened made it a lot sweeter too. It was probably one of the top 4 or 5 games I've ever been involved in. Times like just as a spectacle, I guess, rather than anything else. Like be it grand final or not, I think just the spectacle of it was up there, one of the best I've been a part of anyway. So
is it cool to be mentioned when people talk about greatest grand finals ever? Mate, there's a pretty fair argument that it actually is that grand final. Is it cool to be part of that piece of history? Yeah,
definitely. Just to win a grand final is amazing, but to be sort of talked about as being one of the best of them is pretty cool.
Arriving back into Townsville with the premiership, how special was that?
Yeah, very special. To give that town that lives and breathes footy its first one, and be part of that, and to always be part of that now is something pretty cool. I think the way we just organised to celebrate up there was pretty awesome too, to get the fans involved and stuff like that. I remember we got a bus back to the stadium, and then we come out and presented the trophy to the fans and that, and there would have been like 20 or 30,000 people on the like standing on the field, like waiting for us to get there. It was something that I've never experienced before, and probably will never again. But yeah, it was awesome.
I've had different players talk about their grand final victories over the years, and a lot of them have said their outstanding memory is a recollection of just how much it means to the people that support the club, because the players are the superstars, but the fans are the ones that pay for the jerseys, that come through the gates, and they live and breathe rugby league. To see how special your victory is to someone else is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, being up there, being part of the first one for Townsville and their fans was something, I'll never forget.
Maroon number 203. How special is that accolade?
Yeah, it's a dream. Like it was. That's growing up in Queensland. That's all you want to do. As soon as you touch the footy, all you want to do is play for Queensland. And to get it to do it and get my name up there with some of the other legends that have played for Queensland, it was a dream come true.
2019 game 3, the series was locked 1 each, but you'd come into a side that had actually been spanked in game 2. What are your fondest memories of the week in camp as a Maroon?
Just being around it. I was lucky enough to be 18th man in 16 and be, sort of get a taste of the camp and all the other stuff. But yeah, just being around, the sort of players that they had there and stuff like that. I think just trying to enjoy the camp more than worrying about the game is probably the biggest takeaway I'd give anyone from it is, just enjoy your time. You don't get a lot of them, so enjoy what you can out of it. Is
it hard to enjoy because you're so excited or so nervous?
For me it was a bit different because I wasn't 100% going to play until the day before the game. So I remember I got there and I was just like, I'm 18th man, I'll just, hold a few pads and have a bit of fun and all that sort of stuff. And, and obviously I sort of make sure I knew what I needed to know, but realistically I wasn't, until Gillo sort of hurt himself at training, I wasn't even thinking about playing footy. I was there just to enjoy being around it and stuff like that.
82,500 at ANZ Stadium. You were playing for South Sydney at this time. You'd been cheered at that ground for years. Very different atmosphere, very different greeting this time.
Yeah, it was amazing. Obviously, getting booed and stuff like that, it's obviously not what you want, but just the chorus of it was just what you dream of, going down, playing for Queensland, playing in New South Wales, and that's what, you hear all the stories about is, everyone spraying you and stuff like that, and to get to experience it was, pretty cool.
Okay, we've just spoken about the grand final in 15. We're speaking about Origin in 19. Same venue, different jerseys.
Yeah.
Is it the same atmosphere, a same feeling?
Similar. I think it's pretty similar. I just think being Origin, the intensity is like, I know it's a grand final stuff, but I feel like there's just more intensity with even the fans and stuff like that with Origin rather than with a grand final. I think so. I think that you can feel that from the crowd too.
An amazing game. New South Wales at one stage looked like they were headed to victory, but then Queensland did what Queensland does and the comeback started. Josh Maguire in the 71st minute, you kicked the goal. 4 minutes later, Josh Papali. Ethan, you also kicked that goal and you had a very good night, a sensational night with the boot. The scores were locked. With that momentum, did you actually think you'd go on and win? Did you have a confidence about it?
Yeah, I definitely were confident with how we were going. We were able to roll up the field pretty easy too towards the end there. And I thought Ches was going to have a good chance to have a shot there, but they ended up pulling the ball back, I think, and slowed it down, and he decided to put the bomb up instead and go from there, and then I guess the rest is history. But yeah, I did definitely think with the way we were able to build that momentum towards the end of the game, I definitely was very confident, yeah.
With under a minute to go, this.
Goes away out to Pearce. He gets one away to Tom Trbojevic. It's gone to Blake Ferguson. Ferguson, can he stand up? Now he throws the pass. He's got it back to you-know-who. Tedesco for the corner. Tedesco's over. James Tedesco appropriately puts it over the line in front of a sea of Blatchy's Blues down at the northern end. And look at this.
Does heartbreaking sum it up, that feeling?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, to lose in that sort of fashion is pretty tough to get over, I guess. I guess for me it was pretty bittersweet too. Like I still was able to do what I've always wanted to do and play for Queensland, but then also have the result not go away was pretty tough. So I guess I was sort of bittersweet about it, but yeah.
We hope you're enjoying the Ethan Lowe story, from the highs to unthinkable lows. That's on part 2. Make sure you come back soon, legends. Welcome back to Andy Raymond Unfiltered, the Ethan Lowe story. I said at the start, he's tough, reliable and resilient. Over the next 20 minutes or so, that becomes perfectly clear. The story continues. What do you take out of State of Origin? When you're old and grey, what's going to be that memory?
I guess just being able to, say that I was... put my name up there with the other legends that have played State of Origin. It's a pretty small crew. Like what Queensland only have, probably 207 or 8 now.
207 or 8, yeah.
It's been going for like 40 years.
Yep.
So
it's an elite crew, mate.
Exactly. So being able to say that I'm one of those 200 odd in 40 years, like that's a pretty good stats there. Like.
Your family's got a history in rugby league. You mentioned your grandfather earlier. What did it mean to your family for you to represent Queensland?
I think it was pretty special for them. The amount of travel and stuff they've done for me in my life, especially from Gundawindi, every second week you're travelling 2 hours each way to play a game of footy. Yeah. So that's 4 hours every weekend plus a game, so that's almost a day every weekend that my family or mum and dad or whoever's driving me somewhere to, they've probably lost a lot of time over their lives running me around all different things. Even my brother and sister, they've obviously given up time as well, like being stuck on going away to rep carnivals and all this other stuff, instead of having actual holidays, going to some random town in Queensland to go to a rep carnival or something. So obviously I think for them was pretty special as well. And I think more they were just happy and proud of what I was able to do, what I've always wanted to do, I guess. So yeah.
As they should be. Less than 12 months later, things turn sour. First things first, your health, your body movement, your recovery. How are you feeling as we sit here in 2021?
Yeah, pretty good. I can still get through all my day-to-day stuff. I'm not struggling really doing anything like that day-to-day requirements, stuff like that. Got a bit of weakness and stuff like that on one side of my body, but other than that, I can't complain. I'm still up and moving around. I can still go for a run and all that stuff. So it's not the worst thing in the world.
The neck. I'm going to say it was 2016, the year after the Premiership win with the Cowboys, when you had your first problem. What happened? What do you recall?
It just so I ruptured a disc in my neck that year. It was against would have been our second last game of the year, I think. In the first or second week of the finals against Melbourne. I don't even really remember anything from the tackle. It wasn't like I didn't feel like I got jammed up or anything like that. I just sort of got up, and I remember just having sort of pins and needles just go sort of all through my body. I thought I just got like, sort of like a burner, but like it sort of happened everywhere. And then within 20 or 30 seconds, the pins and needles left the rest of my body and were just in my hands after that. And played out the game, and then sort of woke up the next morning, thought I'd be all right. Woke up the next morning, I still had the numbness and stuff in my hands, and had a chat to the physio and doc, and got a scan and realised I had a ruptured disc in my neck.
Do you look back on that and the fact that you continued playing and amaze yourself? It could have been so much worse.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, I probably should have said something during the game, to be honest. That's the first thing the physio and doc said. But yeah, I didn't really know what had happened. So and then after getting the scans and all that other stuff, and then speaking to the specialists and that, they're like, turns out it could have been pretty dangerous. So definitely, obviously, feel a bit lucky that I was able to get through it without anything else major happening, I guess.
Run us through the timeline back then and what you went through, because neck surgery, the rehab, but the potential complications are pretty unique.
Yeah, so I opted to have the most minimal surgery, I guess.
Yep.
Had the disc shaved down. It was about 2 or 3 months of basically lying on the couch, like not being able to really do anything to let the disc sort of repair itself and stuff like that. So it was pretty much 2 or 3 months of not being able to do much movement at all. And then obviously, because I've had so much time off, just building up strength and stuff again after that was pretty tough. So it was basically a lot of gym, trying to get that strength back, not just in my neck, but also upper body and lower body as well.
Did you genuinely think about your future and what could have gone wrong, or are you more focused on this is what I need to do for rehab?
I think being a bit younger at the time, I was more just worried about getting back on the field and doing whatever I could to get back on the field. I wasn't really thinking, too far past, getting to round one and going from there.
In between that surgery and 2020, you played 78 games and an Origin. Were you physically limited in any way, or were you actually, do you consider it physically at your best?
I wouldn't say at my best. I think I never really regained as much strength that I had before the surgery.
Yep.
Especially upper body. I've just felt like I was always a fair bit weaker upper body after the surgery. I'd be doing 3 or 4 days a week in pre-season stuff on upper body, trying to get stronger, and I just didn't really feel like I ever got back to where I was.
Mentally, how did you cope with playing? The collisions, the tackles, would the mind still allow the body to rip in?
I think the first probably month or 8 weeks after surgery of games was probably, I'd probably had a few demons in my head with stuff like that. I remember, I think it was around 3 or 4 weeks in, I ended up getting a burner, and I sort of, it all come back, and I was freaked out a little bit, but we went back to the specialist and got an MRI, and he said, no, it's all sweet. So I think that probably helped a fair bit after getting the burner in my arms and stuff, and then going back to him and saying, no, it's all good. That probably helped mentally. I think I probably was struggling a little bit till then, but once I realised that it's going to be all right, from there I was probably a lot better about it.
You mentioned you thought you were potentially physically weaker, and there were mental demons that maybe prohibited you a little bit. I'm going to say you played better footy after that neck surgery than you were before the neck surgery. Would you agree?
I'd say I played a bit different after. I wouldn't say I was better. I think I was a bit more just run hard, tackle hard before the surgery and stuff like that. And then after the surgery, I sort of tried to be a bit smarter about it all.
It's amazing how resilient we are and how much we can change if we Have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Any elite athlete will tell you it takes more than just being physically fit to be at your best. And our friends at Galaxy Finance can have you at the top of your financial game. From home loans to investments and self-managed super funds, they provide complete solutions. Call Galaxy Finance on 1300 91 7740 and mention you heard it on Andy Raymond Unfiltered to get an obligation-free chat to see how Galaxy Finance can assist you. Round 10 2020, a tackle for most against Newcastle that went unnoticed, obviously not by you. What do you recall of that tackle?
Yeah, it was a bit innocuous sort of thing, I guess. Yeah, I was just carrying off our own line, and I was trying to get down and get a play the ball, and end up sort of getting in an awkward position and getting someone put a bit of weight on the back of my neck, and I could just feel the same thing that happened the first time. Just sort of numbness go through my whole body and stuff like that. And yeah, I sort of figured straight away. I sort of knew what was going on. You did know straight away? Yeah, I tried to get through a bit of footy after that to just like see how it was, but yeah, I didn't feel right. Yeah. What goes through your mind when you get back to the dressing room? Did you know? Yeah, I pretty much knew. I spoke to doc and physio and organised MRI and just said, look, I'm pretty sure this is what it is, but yeah, obviously, mentally I was, down after that because I sort of knew straight away, but I was still holding out hope that it wasn't going to be too bad. And yeah, went and got MRI the next day, and then end up getting a call off the specialist saying, mate, this is pretty bad, we're going to get into surgery. You didn't actually get to the meeting with the specialist. They rang you and said, hey, mate, come in. Pretty much, yeah. So we'd booked, I had the scan on I think it was Sunday we had a scan. I had a specialist, because we were going to get a few opinions and stuff and go from there. Yep. And I had a meeting with one of the specialists on the Tuesday, and it got to Sunday night, and he said, mate, come in tomorrow. He goes, it's pretty bad, come in tomorrow, pretty much. So then, yeah, we were in first thing in the morning, 7:30, whatever it was, to see him, and then was in for surgery that afternoon. Had you made your mind up about your footballing future by this stage, or were you waiting to see how the surgery went? I was waiting to see how the surgery went. Obviously, I was thinking, it could be it, but I was, I guess, holding out a bit of hope that it wouldn't be too bad and that. But I guess sort of once he called me in and said, mate, you have to get into surgery straight away, I wasn't too positive about it all. But yeah, I'm still holding out a little bit of hope. But yeah, I just didn't really want to think about that yet. But yeah, I was just sort of trying to get through the surgery and make sure that's sweet, and then worry about what happens after that. What about those around you, your loved ones? How tough was it on them? Yeah, very tough. Obviously, Mrs. was trying to keep upbeat and still be happy about everything, but she was obviously stressed because I'm going to have surgery again. So she was obviously worried. During COVID too, so that was tough. Yeah. As soon as I found out I had surgery, Mum and Dad drove down from Gundy to help out once I got out of hospital. Yep. But then they got down there and literally they said they shut the borders, so then they had to leave like basically a day into it. Oh. So they were there for a day. They were there I had to spend 2 days in hospital, so they got there the day I had the surgery, and they had 2 days at home because at that time we only had one visitor in hospital as well. Yep. So they couldn't even come to the hospital to see me. And then I got out of hospital and I had a day with them at home, and then they had to leave because they were shutting the borders. So your timing's not great, mate. Exactly. So it was tough. Yeah, they were trying to, I guess, more keep positive for me rather than anything else. We'll talk about your timing or your poor timing in COVID a little bit later. We'll keep going with the injury. Were there fears for just general day-to-day living, Ethan, or was it you solely focused on football
with a confidence that you'd be okay day to day.
Yeah. Speaking with specialists and stuff, he was fairly confident. I'd be fine day to day, stuff like that.
Yep.
So he was pretty happy with everything. It was just more the physicalness and the contact and stuff like that of rugby league that obviously I wasn't cleared to play. So I've actually been told no contact sport of any kind at all. So
the specialist make your decision for you?
Yeah, pretty much. So he'd sort of said, look, it's not a good idea.
You just can't.
Well, the first one that did the surgery said, look, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, sweet. I said, well, mate, you're the boss. You're the guy that knows this stuff. So obviously, I went with his opinion and we applied for the medical retirement, and then NRL sent me to another specialist, and he just said, mate, I wouldn't even clear you anyway. So it sort of took the choice out of my hands anyway. So yeah.
Was that hard to hear?
Yeah. Obviously, at the time I was 29. No one wants to stop playing footy at 29.
Yep.
So yeah, it was definitely tough. Something I'm still, I guess, struggling with every now and then. Being told you have to stop rather than wanting to stop. It's just one of those things that, yeah.
You've just missed your first pre-season. I'd imagine no one misses pre-season all that much. How do you think you'll go when the games actually start?
I didn't miss so much pre-season. I guess I just missed being around.
Yep.
Being around the club and being around all the boys and stuff like that. Like, that's the main part about footy that I loved, was being able to hang out with your mates every day pretty much and mess around with them. It's a bit tough, obviously. I guess it'll take time to deal with, but it's just one of those things I'm going to have to deal with.
When the Cowboys play the Rabbitohs, because you played with both, who do you cheer?
Oh, I'm still working for the Rabbitohs, so I'm going to have to say them.
Go into Golden Point. When you look back at your career, mate, what are you most proud of?
I guess just working hard and not giving up. I guess there was times where I probably could have said, you know what, I've had enough. Coming, I guess, especially for me, I guess the high of playing junior Kangaroos and then the next day not having a club to go to is pretty tough. So I guess just the fact that, I just kept working hard and didn't give up on my dream and was able to get what I wanted, I guess.
Have you got any regrets? If you look back, would you change anything?
No, not really. I don't think so. I was able to do a fair bit of rugby league, and so I don't really feel like there's much to change. I was able to play. I won a comp in Q Cup with Cairns. Next year, won a comp, played another grand final. Was able to play Origin. I think I'm pretty content with everything I've done.
A great ride. Now back to your timing and COVID. Twice you've had to cancel the wedding.
Yeah, third time lucky, hopefully. I don't know, but I don't want to jinx it with COVID again. But yeah, so obviously we had our wedding booked for October last year. I think it was like 2 weeks after a week after grand final, we'd booked it, and then COVID happened and they moved the season backwards or longer. So we had to change it for that, and then we booked it to end of January and down in Sydney, and next minute Sydney's in lockdown. So we end up saying screw it, getting out of Sydney, not even having anything to do with it. So April now is the plan, at least.
143 games for North Queensland and South Sydney, Premiership and Origin accolades. You always carried yourself with great dignity, and you're a really respected man in rugby league circles. It's been a pleasure again, Ethan Lowe. You, sir, are a legend. This episode was presented by our wonderful sponsors, Griffin Air Conditioning and Galaxy Finance. Their company details are on our website, andyraymondunfiltered.com.au. Be sure to check them out and support those that support us. The Legends series, it's a deep dive not only into the athlete but the man behind, celebrating successes, dealing with failures and turning obstacles into challenges. It drops at the start of the week. Late in the week, the weekly Wodge is released. On any one episode, hear up to a dozen of the game's best, both former and current. We talk footy and have a laugh as well, segments, specials and special guests. It's the perfect way to kick off your footy weekend. Saturday is The Blast, looking back at a career or a moment in time through the eyes of the athlete involved. It's a short listen and brilliant. Then on Sundays, one-on-one. Not a footballer in sight as we chat with boxers, mixed martial artists and professional wrestlers, both past and present. The list of names featured, it reads like a who's who. Make sure you're following us on our social media pages at The Andy Raymond. We're on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. That way, you won't miss a thing. Andy Raymond Unfiltered. It's a podcast like no other. It's unfiltered.